Imagine the following scene: a young couple, full of dreams, saving every penny for months to finally have a home of its own, free from the claustrophobia of a tight rent. Everything was almost sent to real estate financing, when suddenly the mother-in-law decided that her plans were more important. "Forget this idea of home. Better to give this money for my daughter to set up a business," he said with the naturalness of those who think the sweat of the couple belongs to the whole family. And so, with a sentence, years of sacrifice were placed in check. It was in this tense climate that the story I'm going to tell today started. My name is Andre Branco, and it is with great satisfaction that I receive them once again here, on the Family Souls channel. Today I bring a narrative that will make you reflect on limits, manipulation, and how far love or control within a family. Get ready for a story that looks like fiction, but it's pure reality. Elena Vladimirovna Kruskova saw himself as the perfect mother-in-law. At least that was the image that sold to friends in the supermarket line or while waiting for medical appointment, always with a smile on his face when talking about his exemplary family. She had 2 adult children, Maxim, a successful systems analyst in a large technology company, with a salary of about 10,000 riaris per month, and Christina, the youngest, whose curriculum was a collection of abandoned jobs before 6 months. 3 years ago, Maxim had married Evgenia, a reserved girl, daughter of a simple family, who worked as an accountant in a small company for 4,000 riaris. The couple lived in a tiny 32-square-meter apartment in the periphery, paying a rent of 2,500 riaris, while gathering each real to enter their own property. At first Elena tolerated her daughter-in-law. After all, Evgenia was discreet, did not dispute her son's attention, and, above all, did not disturb her relationship with Maxim. But everything changed when Christina, at the age of 25, after changing 7 jobs in 5 years and never dedicated himself to anything for over half a year, had a revelation. After watching another video of a millionaire influencer on social networks, she decided that her destination was to be an entrepreneur. Not any entrepreneur, owners of a beauty studio, because lounge sounded very common, very 2010. Of course, she had never done a manicure course, had no experience in management, but the enthusiasm, and the demand for family money, did not know boundaries. "Mom, I need 400,000 to start the business," he announced during a Sunday lunch, as if asking for an extra dish. Elena, of course, embraced the idea on the spot. After all, what a mother would not be proud to say that her daughter is a businesswoman? It sounded so well in the gossip wheels. The idea that Maxim was keeping money for his own home, while his sister needed help, made her furious. The next day, without warning, she broke into the couple's small apartment. Maxim had just arrived at work, exhausted, but with the increasingly living hope of realizing the dream of his own home, they already had half the value of the entrance. Evgenia, in the tight kitchen, was trying to prepare dinner in a space where 2 bodies were barely fit. "Maxim, we need to talk," said Elena, completely ignoring her daughter-in-law, as if she were an extra furniture in the room. The son sighed, sinking on the couch. "I heard, her sister decided to open a beauty studio. She needs help," the mother continued, as if talking about a trivial subject. Maxim, distracted with his cell phone, replied indifferently, "So?" The reaction was like a slap in Elena's face. "What loan? She's your sister. Family helps yourself." He raged, as if the concept of financial responsibility were a personal offense. "Mother, we don't have that money left. We're gathering home tea." He entered Maxim, already feeling the weight of the guilt his mother knew so well to plant. "Ah, this home. You're young, you can wait," hormed Elena, as if living in a cubicle for years was an insignificant detail. "What's more, Christina's business can work and help us all." Evgenia, who had hitherto kept silent, couldn't stand. "We are 28 years old. We are no longer teenagers to accept any condition." The mother-in-law fulminated her with a look full of contempt. "No one asked you anything. This is the subject of the Khrushchev family." What followed was an hour of pure emotional blackmail. Elena used all the weapons: tears for the sacrifices she made alone after the divorce, accusations of selfishness, promises that the Christina business would be a smash hit. Evgenia watched everything, feeling her husband wavering. He knew that side of him well, kind but undecided, easily shaken by his mother's pressure. Maybe we should think about it, Maxim murmured at a certain point. If it works, Christina can help us later. It was the drop of water. Evgenia, however, had a trump card that neither her husband nor her mother-in-law imagined. 2 weeks earlier, she had come across Christina in a mall. The future entrepreneur was not alone. Beside her, a man of about 30, wearing a suit that cost more than Evgenia's salary in a year. The two entered a jewelry store, where he bought for Christina a bracelet of 40,000 reais. Then they went to a boutique, where she tried a dress of 20,000. Intrigued, Evgenia followed them from afar, discreet. He found that the benefactor was a married, older businessman who played the girl's whims in exchange for BEM company. All those beauty studio plans were just a facade to suck money from the family. Evgenia registered everything with the cell phone, the kisses exchanged next to a luxury car, the entrance to both in a 5-star hotel, the thick envelope being delivered to the hands of Christina. For 2 weeks, she debated herself, telling the truth to her husband or not. It was invasive to peek at the sister-in-law, but it was also unfair to let them waste years of economy in a scam. When Elena crossed all the boundaries, Evgenia knew it was the time. Maxim said softly, extending the phone. Take a look at that. The husband looked at the photos, confused. The first showed Christina embraced to a stranger next to an imported car. The second, the same man buying jewelry for her. The third, the two entering a hotel. What is this? He asked, stunned. That's it, said Evgenia, with a calm that hid years of containment. She's her sister for 2 weeks. It seems that she has found another way to fund her projects. Elena stretched her neck, trying to see the images. What nonsense are you inventing? He said, but Maxim's expression already said it all. The mask had fallen. And with her, the mother-in-law of manipulating the family in the name of a business that never existed. Here, the photos did not lie. Christina experimenting with a designer dress that cost more than Maxim's 3-month salary, receiving a thick envelope from the hands of a man with alliance on his finger, laughing, elegant, while the two entered a 5-star restaurant. Evgenia let the images speak for themselves, the sharp silence as a blade. Your daughter doesn't need business money, Elena Vladimirovna, said the cold voice like steel. She already has a sponsor. Maxim didn't say a word. Her fingers tightened her cell phone hard enough to crack the screen as her eyes devour every detail of those blatant. The jaw was so tense that Evgenia almost listened to her teeth ranging. Where did you get these photos? He finally asked, the hoarse voice of containment. I found them by chance in the mall. I decided to observe. Elena Vladimirovna exploded. You spied on my island. How you dare dash. I didn't spy, said Evgenia, serene. I saw. And I decided to understand what, in fact, happened. But if you prefer, you can call espionage. It doesn't change the truth. Maxim got up from the couch as if the weight of betrayal pushed him up. He walked to the window, his rigid back, his fists clenched. 4 minutes, only the sound of his rapid breathing was heard as he processed what he saw and what he didn't see. The sister who swore to dream of a company, the mother who begged for an investment, the scam that had lasted years. So such a beauty studio. He murmured more to himself than for them. There is no exist, added Evgenia before Elena Vladimirovna could make up another excuse. Of course there is. He protested his mother-in-law, but his voice trembled. Maybe this man is an investor. Maxim turned slowly, his eyes burning. Mother. Stop. The tone was definitive, exhausted. Look well for these photos. You know she's lying. As he always lied when he needed money. Elena Vladimirovna tore off her son's hands, the trembling fingers widening each image as if she could erase reality with a touch. Every second, his face was darker, the wrinkles deepening in a mask of defeat. But she talked about the business, stammered. She lied, Maxim Cloves without mercy. As always. When I needed money to college that never ended, to the car that broke 3 times the same month, for the journey that was urgent. He advanced over his mother, the voice rising, not of anger but of an old pain. Mom, I'm 30 years old. I'm married. We want a son, a house of ours. And you arrive here, require our sweaty money to play the whims of a sister who has fun with married men? Elena Vladimirovna tried to argue, but the words died in her throat. The son was no longer the boy who gave in to his requests. Do you know what revolts me most? Maxim continued, the voice vibrating. It's not Christina to get involved with this guy, her problem. It's both you to treat me like an idiot. As if I'm so blind, so dumb, she would swallow any story and open her wallet. Son, I didn't know, the mother mounted. I didn't know. You're a mother, fucking. The bad word escaped like a rare, sharp shot. Instead of coming here to be begged for her, why didn't you ask what she does with her life? Why never charge anything? He held the shoulders of Elena Vladimirovna, forcing her to face him. Mom, get your things. You leave. What? And don't come back with these proposals. Never again. Maxim, I'm your mother. Just because I'm not playing you stairs below now. But my patience has a limit. The woman looked around, disoriented, as if the floor had opened under her feet. Half an hour before, the son had almost yielded, now I expelled her. And Christina? He tried, desperate. Christina is adult. That solves the problems she created alone. You're being cruel. I'm being fair. And for the first time, I'm respecting myself. Elena Vladimirovna collected her bag with trembling hands, murmuring something about ingratitude and hard hearts. At the door, he turned to Evgenia, his injected eyes with hatred. That was you. You turned you against the family. Evgenia did not flash. I just showed the truth. The decision was his. We'll still see each other, the mother-in-law spit before knocking the door hard enough to shake the walls. The apartment dived in silence. Maxim sank on the couch, his elbows on his knees, his hands covering his face. Sorry, whispered to his wife. I almost fell on this again. Evgenia sat next to him, intertwining his fingers in his. She's your mother. It's hard to say no. But you were right. 3 years saving, living in this crate, depriving us of everything. And they come like this, as if we had an obligation to play the delusions of Christina. Evgenia squeezed his hand. Now we know where the money comes from her dresses. Maxim laughed without H. Emma. I always wondered how I could dress better than I without working. Yeah. The following days were strangely calm. No call from Elena Vladimirovna, no message from Christina. The couple accelerated the mortgage procedures, as if they feared that the silence was temporary. And it was. A week later, the doorbell rang at night, when Maxim had not yet arrived at work. Evgenia opened the door and found Christina, her eyes red, not crying, but fury. It was you who reported to Maxim, he accused, without greetings. Come in, said Evgenia, impassive. I don't want to see Maxim. I want your explanations. The sister-in-law broke into the room, spinning on the jumps like a harassed panther. Did you follow me? No one. I saw you by chance. And I decided to observe. Lie. Evgenia crossed her arms. It doesn't matter. The fact is that you lied about the business. Christina hesitated, but recovered fast. So what? My love life is not your problem, it's not. But asking our money for a company that doesn't exist is. The young woman bit her lip, calculating. We can make a deal, he said, lowering his voice. Forget the pictures, and I don't tell the Maxim as you flirted with Valentin at the company party. Evgenia raised an eyebrow. What Valentine? Valentine Korochkin. He told me how you threw yourself in it last Christmas. Evgenia laughed a clear, incredulous sound. Christina, Valentine is a drunk who harass every woman who breathes. Maxim knows that. And even if she didn't know, her blackmail attempt is pathetic. The sister-in-law clenched her fists. I'm not lying. It's. And you're doing this because you know it's no longer cards. Your sponsor is no investor, it's a case. And you don't want to work, just want easy money. You don't understand. I need a reserve. Arrange a job, like everyone else. With 20,000 a month. You live tight. But I live with dignity. Without depending on married men. Christina changed her tactic. Maxim will be devastated when you know you cheated on you with your best friend. Evgenia sighed. Are you not ashamed? Inventing such a thing. It's not an invention. Yeah. And even if it wasn't, Maxim knows Valentine. He knows he's a liar. And he knows I would never do that. Christina retreated, realizing that the bluff had failed. Well, then help me. I need this money. Why? Your friend doesn't pay your bills. This is temporary, like all your excuses. The impasse dragged, until Maxim arrived. Christina tried to appeal to him, but her brother was no longer the same. If you need money, go to a bank, he said cold. Or ask your partner. Maxim, I'm your sister. Precisely for that reason. You have health, study, and instead of working, you prefer to deceive your family. It's not like that. That's exactly so. And it's over. Christina came out cursing, swearing to tell her mother everything. The next day Elena Vladimirovna called. Maxim, Christina is destroyed. You made her cry. Mom, I'm 30 years old. Enough of dramas for money. But she's your sister, and it's adult. If you want money, to work. Or ask the sponsor you saw the photos. A silence. And now? What will be for us? Maxim took a deep breath. Nothing special. Me and Evgenia are going to buy our apartment, as we planned. You and Christina. What? That they solve your life. Without involving us. The call ended there. For the first time, Maxim felt the weight of freedom and the certainty that this time he would not go back. Solve your problems alone. Because family, blood ties, mother, brothers, it all has value only when people support themselves, not when they are traded for money. These words echoed like a verdict. After that phone call, Elena Vladimirovna disappeared for a whole month. No phone calls, no visit, not even a congratulations on Maxim's birthday. He felt the blow. After all, it was his mother. But Evgenia F. Hi firm, we need this distance. She only understands when she loses what she has always had for free. Meanwhile, the couple dived headlong into the dream of the dream. The mortgage paperwork was approved, found a 2-bedroom apartment in a noble neighborhood, and the change plans gained shape. Christina, in turn, disappeared from her lives as suddenly as a ghost. From what was seen on her social networks, she was still in the same routine as before: expensive dinners, designer clothes, trips with the sponsor. Until, 3 months later, everything changed. Evgenia worked remotely in the new room when the phone rang. A feminine, polite but sharp voice. Good afternoon. I speak to Evgenia Kruskova? Yes, it's me. My name is Irina Sergeyevna Panina. I am the wife of Dmitry Panin. A silence. Evgenia frowned. Sorry, I don't know that name. It's the man who is involved with your husband's sister. Christina. Ah. Now yes. I understand. What can I help? We need to talk in person. I have evidence of my husband's betrayals, and you can be crucial for me to get justice. They met in a discreet coffee in the center. Irina Sergeyevna was the opposite of the betrayed wife stereotype, elegant, in her 40s, with an air of those who don't waste time on dramatism. On the table, she spread photos, bank statements, witness testimonials. I will come in with the divorce, Evgenia analyzed the documents. And I want him to pay for every ruble spent on this girl. But I need the photos you have of them too. For the process. Evgenia crossed her arms. And why would I help? Because she destroyed a family. And why do you have the right to know that the money he spent on his sister-in-law? It was deviation from funds from his company. Theft, basically. A mental click. Evgenia remembered the jewelry, dinners, the trips Christina sported. All paid with dirty money. Send the photos you need to my email, he said finally. But no, I didn't do anything illegal. These images are from public places. Irina smiled, pleased. That's all I need. A week later, the scandal exploded. Dmitry Panin not only lost half of his heritage in divorce, he became a defendant in an investigation for diversion of funds. Christina, of course, was without her benefactor and worse. His wife sued her for moral damages, demanding stratospheric compensation. That's when Elena Vladimirovna reappeared, but this time without the usual arrogant posture. His eyes were swollen, his hands shaking. Maxim, she's in serious trouble. What kind of trouble? The process. That man's wife is charging 300,000 rubles from her. Maxim didn't even lift his eyes from the newspaper. So what? So it's your sister, who chose to get involved with a married man and accept stolen gifts, he countered Evgenia, ahead. She knew very well what she was doing. Even the guy's wedding ring was in the photos. Elena Vladimirovna swallowed hard. But she didn't know he was married. Lie, cut Maxim. And even if it was true, ignorance is not innocent. She accepted luxuries she couldn't pay, literally. The mother lowered her head, defeated. You are cruel. No, little mother, said Evgenia, with cold calm. We just stop playing the fools. The judge's verdict was relentless. Christina would have to return everything, the bracelets, the dresses, the jewelry, in the total of 200,000 rubles, plus 100,000 moral damages. For a girl who never worked in her life and now she earned 25,000 a month as a seller in a cosmetics store, it was a bankruptcy sentence. Elena Vladimirovna returned, this time crying for real. They will take everything from her. She has no way to pay. Where are the 400,000 she asked for the beauty studio? Maxim asked without changing her voice. The mother froze. What 400,000? Those you di. But she was going to return you as investment. Remember? The silence was the answer. Elena Vladimirovna had understood the trap. Maxim, please. Mom, I'm not a monster. But Christina needs to learn that actions have consequences. If she wants to get out of this, work. Like everyone. And so it was. Christina spent years paying debts, while Maxim and Evgenia thrived. The mortgage was set forward, the children were born, Maxim's career took off. Elena Vladimirovna was still visiting her grandchildren, but now with the humility of who knows he lost the right to demand anything. As for Christina, she continued at the cosmetics store, watching from afar and with a bitter tip the family photos that once despised. Sometimes Evgenia thought about what it would have been if I had not shown those photos 5 years earlier. Perhaps they were still renting a tiny apartment, while their sweaty rubles fed the whims of others. But there was no regret. Family was sacred, but only when built on honesty, not over parasites. And this one, they had chosen to protect.